Ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday night here at 7:30 p.m. Central, and you're seeing the Bama Standard on a special night because tomorrow night's Halloween, and hey, it's about to get scared for those LSU Tigers because it's LSU Hate Week. We are the best show for Alabama content, period. Folks, you know what to do. People in the live chat, go ahead and get things rowdy. If you're watching, I need that like button hit, that subscribe button tapped. If you're watching the replay, get in the comment section. Show us some love there. As always, we are brought to you by Workspace Solutions. If your business needs a digital presence or full-fledged marketing team or some folks that can help you with copyright or any kind of business need, these are the guys to reach out to, workspacepros.com. And as always, I got our all-star crew led by the undefeated, undisputed king of comedy and star of the show, the Steve Brown.
Them baby guns he trying to show, man, put that up.
Hey man, I just wanted to show the people. I just wanted to show the people the progress I've been making since I put down Marvin's book.
That's what a hammer look like, baby. That's what
MC Hammer.
MC Hammer after he went broke. And the guy showing the bicep envy in 1999 all SEC linebacker. And when Ric Flair said to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man. He is that man, Marvin Constant.
Yep. And because of Marvin, Bama lost a lot of games back then.
We need you to stick to eating your Slim Jims and chitlin meal, okay?
And a man who is joining us live from a massage parlor down in deep Tuscaloosa, international sex symbol and senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, is Stephen M. Smith.
I'm a no massage parlor, bro. Come on now.
As a matter of fact, I heard you got that the Son Watson thing going on. Chill out, Steve.
Don't do that, because I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that blanket behind it. And I'm wondering if it's something you want to tell us.
Man, look, man. It's a blanket,
a lot of colors
man.
in that blanket now.
Hey,
no judgment here, but it's a lot of colors in that blanket, sir.
First of all, it's a little bitty old blanket.
I didn't know it was Pride Month already. You got that thing ready to go display.
No, you just want every focus group to attack us, don't you, Mark?
I know. We want
the second week in a row.
Actually, this is my daughter's blanket. She just wanted me to have it in the background.
No,
says
you in your daughter's room. Just call it what it is. You in your daughter's room. I get it.
I'm not. I'm actually in the living room. I'm not in her room. But this is her blanket.
But listen, guys, this week, very special week. The unstoppable force, LSU's offense, meets the immovable object, the Alabama defense, the number one defense in the country, at least by the way we see it. And there's a man who knows a little bit about something like this. Back in the day, they said that Miami was the unstoppable force, and we were on the immovable object. Stephen M. Smith, bring in our guest the right way.
Well, we do have the unstoppable force actually on the show. The reason why the 1992 team won the national championship, the reason why Gino Torretta is still having amnesia, the reason why Lamar Thomas still cannot understand what is his last name, the reason why Terrell Owens probably's got cataracts right now, the reason why a lot of things are what they are, but this is a bad man, the reason why he is so loved by Gene Stallings, the reason why Teague's take is the hottest thing smoking, it's George Teague is here, Hitman Teague.
Well, hold on. Well, hold on. That's Uncle Ben. Where's George?
I'm trying to figure out why Marvin Constant was rolling his eyes when you was introducing me, man. What's up there?
I just sat back down. What are you talking about?
Marvin wants everything to be about him.
Time out. I just sat down and Steve taking shots at you as soon as I sit down, and you want to deflect to me. Steve, you want to take shots at you?
I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
Really?
Hey, man. Hey, Benson, we glad to have you on the show.
You know what?
No,
you know I'm gonna get mine back in, so you might as well do yours. I got some jokes now. A few. I ain't no professional comedian, but I got jokes now.
Hey man, how's your son doing?
My son is fine, man. I actually spoke to him today. He told me that I need to be careful with you when you come on, or when I see you tonight, because he knows you're always up to some shenanigans. But you know what? He and his family are fine. He coaches some football. He helped me with Teague's take. He's doing all that stuff. So
that's what, man. Tell him I asked about him. We like him better than you.
Well, that's a perfect segue, George. Now that you're here, go ahead and tell the folks who don't know about Teague's Take and how they can find it and some of the things that you've introduced to the show that they really need to jump on.
Yeah, Teague's Take, man. Well, we're on Wednesday nights, 8:15 p.m. Central Time on YouTube, Teague's Take Podcast. It's been great being great buddies of this family here. I don't know why I come back to y'all all the time, because y'all always treat me like the stepson or whatever. But I'm back anyway, because I feel like I need to, be the one to give the outreach, the hand like this to say it's good. So me and JT do that on Wednesday nights. So what we've done this year, though, guys, is we started talking plays a lot. If you guys didn't watch Bama Standard last week, we need to make sure you watch it on Wednesday as well, because we're going to do a simulcast again, and we love breaking down film. That is the new thing. We'll have Griff Redmill on, the lineman. We got to talk about this offensive line, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
A lot of bad and a lot of ugly.
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we love doing that part. If you go to our page too, you can see some other. So we do about 2 plays typically during the show, and then we upload 2 more in the rest of the week that we might have picked by. So go ahead and subscribe to our page as well. Hit that bell, as Justin says.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We appreciate it.
And just to remind y'all what George said, we are doing a simulcast. Not only will we be on his page, but it's also going to be here on our channel as well. And I want to thank everybody who came out last Thursday night for the show, the premiere episode on the Bama Standard Network. 4,000 of you people watched Teague's Take on this channel. We greatly appreciate y'all showing George and JT and Derek Lassick some love. So we want to invite you to come back again this week. If not on our channel, definitely help George set some numbers on his. But yes, it's time to move on to the game itself, guys. We've been waiting for a long time. We got a lot of things to dissect. And one of the most important things, well, we're about to talk about it. If Alabama wants to secure that victory, they're going to require a top-notch performance from Kool-Aid and Terrion Arnold. Nabers and Thomas Jr., they may just be the best receiving duo in the nation. Malik Nabers leads the nation in receiving yards with 981. And both he and Brian Thomas Jr. average just over 17 yards a pop. Guys, let us not forget, when facing a similar challenge against Texas earlier this year with Edna Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, our duo didn't do so hot. They allowed the receivers to accumulate 8 catches for 153 yards and 3 touchdowns. They got a lot of weapons, but those are the most notable. But here to kind of help us figure out how to put a stop to all this nonsense from that receiving group, we introduce you to our first segment, and that's hosted by none other than Marvin Constant.
That's right. Start with the most important point of view. I like that. Steve, you're going to go once we close or closing credits. We'll let you go. All right. No, but in all seriousness, here's the reality of it. I talked about this last week. You look at Jaden Daniels, excellent quarterback. His first decision isn't to run. He prefers to throw the ball. Man, when I tell you, he has a beautiful ball. He loves that check down route as well. But you better believe if it's not there, he will take off and run. This is one of those games where you're going to have to be disciplined up front, true assignment football. If you have the receiver, go with the receiver. If you're spying the quarterback, you better spy his ass, because if y'all remember what happened last year, who beat us at the end of that game?
That'd be Jaden Daniels.
Exactly. So this game, the defense is going to need to come out and establish their dominance early. I mean, a level of physicality like they have not displayed the last 4 years. Okay, everything that Pete done taught y'all asses, I'm gonna need you to just forget all about it. Just let your head explode, start from scratch, fresh. Okay, you got to come out with your ass on fire, like my coach used to say. If your ass ain't playing behind the line of scrimmage, you ain't playing damn defense. Now, I even brought an artifact to prove said point. Okay, you see this picture right here? Tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, quarterback right here, offensive line right here. Who's tackling the man behind the line of scrimmage? Me. Why? Because I played behind the line of scrimmage, because in order to be an effective damn defensive player, you got to play with your ass on fire on the other side of the ball. I need to see that early and often in this game. And again, assignment football. You have to be disciplined, because if you're not disciplined playing against this offense, it's going to be a problem.
All right.
Marvin, how long were you waiting to pull out that picture?
Oh, man, I got a room full of pictures in here. I got pictures of me all over the place, man. So it's just we happen to be playing LSU, so why not pull out an LSU picture of
you had, you know what?
LSU?
You had that you had that picture out before the Bama Standard started. You just couldn't wait.
No,
but you know what?
I think he took that from the Bryant Museum, Steve.
No, when y'all were introducing
because the Bryant Museum wouldn't have had no frame like that. That thing looked like he had that frame.
Hey, but you know what? You know something? Something I think Marvin would pretty much. I want to add to what you're saying. We gotta start them out behind the chains. We gotta make it second and long, third and long, and all that. So, again. Jaden Daniels did all this stuff last year because he was playing against a Pete Golden defense. This is a different defense. So, and I believe they're going to come out locked and loaded. I just believe that.
Well, that's why
everything you're saying, Marvin, I believe they're going to do that.
That's why I say we got to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage, and we definitely can't come out with the mentality and the energy we came out with last year, because we can't get in a hole against that offense. We cannot.
And we'll get to that part. But, George, I want to turn this to you, with the primary focus being placed on the DBs, like we just mentioned. Terrion, Arnold, and Kool-Aid McKinstry had their hands full, and you've wrote down a lot of Kool-Aid McKinstry this year on your show. So if you would, take the baton now. What do you need to see from both those gentlemen? And do you see either of them having an upper hand against these two prolific receivers?
Yeah, and so the both of those guys have improved, and particularly Kool-Aid. So I wasn't happy with Kool-Aid in the beginning. I thought his press technique, man-to-man technique, wasn't up to the standard I thought he should have. But I broke down the play this past week, actually, really good of him to impress. It was, dude, I was salivating. I was this dude did something that was amazing technique. His patience that he had at the line, mirroring him, offhand jamming him, keeping him from throwing the back shoulder fade. It was perfect. And I think if he does that type of stuff, it's going to make it hard for anybody. It doesn't matter the caliber of guys if he plays like that. Terrion Arnold has always been good. JT, he and I debate a lot about which one of them is actually better.
I like Terrion.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, a good problem to have when you're saying, hey, you got a guy who they're ranking really high, saying he's going to be a first-round draft pick. Kool-Aid, I'm talking. Then you got another guy who's saying, yeah.
I want to ask you a question, though. You reference Kool-Aid's press, and from what you were talking, it sounded like you're saying his trail has been pretty solid as well. What role will that defensive line play if they're not getting enough pressure on that offense early and often, and they're giving Daniels a lot longer than normal to throw the ball? What does that create?
That creates problems, actually. But I honestly feel like that our pressure has gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had the beginning of the season, man, they were running around. We couldn't detach from blocks. And I feel like they are implementing it a little bit more at a time. That's how I feel like there's been I know you got all off season, you should do that, but I just feel like they're creating packages where you can have some one-on-ones to create better pressure.
Right, but here's the main part of that question I wanted you to answer. A lot of times when DBs are in a trail technique and that quarterback has all day and he starts scrambling, what does that do for the secondary when now that quarterback is scrambling and they're just in trail trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
No, you don't want that. Anytime you got a scrambling quarterback, it's way too hard on a defensive back. If you're going past 3-4 seconds at the max, you want it to come out in 2, preferably. But one, what he's getting at, and I'm hearing what he's saying, is it makes it super. It don't matter how good you are. You can't run around and chase guys forever. If you're somewhat behind them in their hip pocket and the quarterback can throw a deep ball, you're going to get gashed. Because you got your head not looking at the ball. So, a lot of times. So it's super important. Hey, back in my day, I know we don't want to hear about my playing days necessarily all the time, but dude, I was trying to feed John Copeland, Eric Curry, Jeremy Nunley, anybody else during the week so they can get some pressure because it makes it easier on me. I need to give them all the credit and thank them for their pressure.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
Cool. So, one thing I did see with Kool-Aid with his technique that I liked when he played Tennessee, they were trying to hit him for the long ball, but what he was doing was he probably wasn't as fast as a receiver, but what he was doing, he was driving him out of bounds, out of the field of play. And I don't know what type of technique it was, but I really liked it because it was really cool, man, to see him doing that. You know what I'm saying? Where this guy probably was faster or whatever, but Kool-Aid was in his hip pocket and he was like kind of driving him on out of bounds. So if he did catch the ball, it had to be a really high percentage catch. He was going to either catch with one hand or go out of bounds with it.
So what he did do is exactly what you said, but here's to get to the fine points, and you say hip pocket, there's different levels of that of trail. You can be too far behind, right? Or you can be too far on top. And what Kool-Aid is starting to figure out is that right position to be at when you're talking in the hip. He's there, and he is now taking his eye. He's not turning completely. Typically, we're looking lean, right? He's playing for the fade ball, and he's using the upfield hand to keep the guy from turning around. That's super hard to do, and I think that's why I was so impressed with it. You play the back shoulder ball, but also he was close enough that he tried to throw it over his head. He was pushing him out of bounds.
And
I like that.
And to your point, Judge, when you said he could also be too far, what a lot of people don't understand is if you're too close to that receiver and it's a tight ball, I hated this when you're covering slot receivers and running backs, but every receiver does it. They'll try to act like they're coming back to the ball just to get you to run into them for pass interference purposes, even though you're not going to do it, but you're so close to them, you can't stop from running into them.
Yeah, that's cheap, man.
I hate that.
That's cheap, bro. That's cheating, what I call it, because you shouldn't be able to.
But they do it.
Marvin got a lot of pass interference calls. That's what he's saying.
A lot. Hey, real quick, guys. James Knox has some money to throw at us. $4.99. Marvin and George, what reasons could it be for Bama scout team's defense not bringing enough smoke that first offensive weakness has taken so long to correct?
It's hard to replicate some of these starting quarterbacks because if the scout team quarterback was as good as the starter, hell, they'd be somewhere else damn playing.
Especially with that's about as simple as you can put it, right? But that is the hardest thing. And even as a high school coach, you're trying to get a good look team, that kind of stuff. If their schemes are a little bit different, because the players are so locked into our own scheme that when you're asked to do something, if it doesn't match, and they're trying to draw the cards or whatever, they're trying to go fast in practice or whatever, dude, it's tough to get, young kids, unexperienced players to be able to do that. So that's why coaches are most of the time are yelling at somebody anyway. It's because they're not getting the best look.
What's on the damn card?
I got to say this though. So Teague, like, what has impressed you about with the way Terrion Arnold's played? Because I remember last year was Terrion's first year truly playing corner, and we saw kind of the growing pains he took. But this year, doing a whole lot better, especially closing, defending guys. So what has impressed you about Terrion's play?
It's getting out of his cuts. He's playing more like it's natural to him before. I think he looked more like a robot before. If you look at the films now and the way guys are breaking, is plant and drive, what we call it. They're getting a foot in the ground, they're going, they're turning and making the play. They're being super aggressive. Shoot, it's nice to see some guys tackling in the secondary. I'm going to give that credit to Caleb Downs because I think he's kind of set the tempo for.
And Terrion. I would say this. Terrion is a Terrion. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, they're both dogs, Terrion and Caleb, but just Caleb to be that young, starting your career, you're already leading the team in tackles or something else.
So Teague, let me ask you this, and we can move on with Justin. What do you think about the physicality of Kool-Aid? To me, he's just not that physical. Now, Terrion and of course Caleb, they're like super physical, but Kool-Aid not so much. Yeah. And sometimes it comes across to me it's like he's playing not to get hurt. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you can touch on that, I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
He does play football like how you be on your Instagram sometime when you be laying in the bed under the cover getting comfortable, all that kind of stuff. What's your Chronicles, whatever that is. I don't know what that thing called. I ain't gonna talk about
his OnlyFans
in the world, huh?
I'll say this.
Stephen Smith.
I actually watched a lot of Kool-Aid in high school at Pinson Valley. Watched a lot of him in high school. So in high school, he was more so of a receiver than a DB anyway. He really didn't like the tackle. In high school, he really did not like the tackle. He was more of a just get me the ball, let me make plays. Of course, Coach Saban had to put some more physicality into him, but naturally, at the heart of Kool-Aid, that man never liked the tackle.
Here's the deal. When's the last time you really seen a punt returner, kickoff return, or whatever else be one of the most physical guys on the team? They're not. They're avoiding tackles and trying not to get hit.
And in Kool-Aid's case, avoiding the ball.
Well, but guess what? He avoiding tackles and not to get hit, and he won't be doing this game because I think somebody else got that position. So, and I'm good with it.
Yeah.
It's about time because he wasn't catching no punts either. That was,
no.
We will be seeing Isaiah Bond this weekend.
And field position in this game is very critical. And I know we've already touched on this a little bit, but I want to kind of close it all and then get your closing thoughts on this. It comes as no surprise that Jaden Daniels last year, like you said, Marvin, was pretty much able to do whatever he wanted on the perimeter against us. It was a game changer. It pretty much won the game for them. Things haven't changed this year for him either. LSU was averaging a whopping 213 yards rushing a game. A big chunk of that actually belongs to him, 521 yards to be exact, averaging 5.7 yards per carry, including sacks. And hold on, there's more. They got a nice little running back there, Logan Diggs. Yep. He's got 611 yards himself, 5.8 yards per carry. So the million-dollar question here is, guys, how can Alabama's defensive line or front seven put the brakes not only on the air attack that we've talked about, but also the ground attack? Are we going to take a page out of Kevin Steele's playbook from the Tennessee game? What's that going to look like? So, Steve, you start us out, then go to George, down to Steven, and then Marvin will close it out.
Okay, so you're saying all of their stats. I saw that today. But again, they haven't played a defense like ours. Okay. And I think that the closest defense they kind of played of ours, and our defense is better, is Florida State. And you saw what Florida State did to them. So then I think then they lose to Ole Miss. They lost to Ole Miss. And you saw what our defense did to Ole Miss. So the thing is, man, if we do what we're supposed to do and get to the ball, game tackle, everybody be locked in. Honestly, if our offense does what they're supposed to do, I don't expect this to be a close game. I really don't. I just don't. And I think our players will get up for this game and they will really show them what time it really is. I believe that. I just believe it.
Okay. George?
My turn, or whose turn is it?
It's your turn, then down to Stephen M, and then Marvin will close it out.
Man, you forgot that fast? That gray hair, you forgot it was your turn that quick.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I was one of the guys that used to hit in the secondary. So here's what I got, and here's what I think you're going to get. A lot of teams have been trying to force us into 5-man boxes, maybe 6, which is hard against the run. You got 5 linemen, a running back, and a quarterback that runs, right? So they got us outnumbered a lot of times. So what Steele is trying to do is trying to keep a safety out of the box so he's not getting counted in the box. So it looks like 5, but it's really 6.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee did it a bunch. If you go back and look at it, they would line up and empty, being spread, and then motion the back out, or move a tight end over and then move the other guy over, and just trying to find a numbers match.
Right.
And that's super hard to do on defense. So I'm not going to say we're just going to shut this guy down from being able to run the ball, either one of them, running back or the quarterback. It's going to be a matter of somebody up front, Marvin, one of them linebackers, one of them defensive linemen, somebody got to beat somebody so we're not giving up 12-yard, 15-yard gashes in the run play. Give up 5, okay, 4, whatever. Don't give up the big one because that's going to be too hard to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen and Smith, pick it up where Mr. Teague left off.
And speaking of what Teague said, somebody's got to step up and win these matchups. I'm pulling out 2 people. This is a big game up front, Tim Keenan and Tim Smith. A big game for both of them. Tim Keenan has grown. Each week he's shown I'm the man. He cut down 30 pounds for a reason, to be physical, but to be fast too. He's a fast, physical lineman now. And now Tim Smith, I don't know what's got into him, but it took him about 3 to 4 years to finally play like the 5-star he was supposed to be in when he came out of high school in the 2020 class out of Florida. I'm looking at those 2. One of those 2, if not both, they've got to win every matchup.
Marvin, close out this segment as only you are meant to do.
Y'all got to understand something. Records go out the window. Alabama plays Auburn. Auburn plays hard. Play Tennessee. Tennessee plays hard. Play Georgia. Georgia plays hard. They play LSU. LSU's going to play lights out. They're going to bring everything they got. Nobody plays Alabama tougher than LSU. You go back and you look at the history of this series and how close these games have been over the years. Even back to 2011 when Alabama won the national championship 21-0 over LSU, regular season, 9-6 game, field goal fest. Yes, our kicker missed 5 field goals. Like he kicked like he was missing 2 feet, but we ain't going to talk about that. But what I'm saying is LSU is going to show up ready to play. You better believe that. So in order for us to get this W, again, we have to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Play like your life depends on it, okay? You got to understand something, man. We win this game, we put ourselves in the driver's seat on a crash course to Atlanta. That's all we need to be focused on. Don't worry about nothing else. Just worry about winning this one game, because winning this one game puts you one step away from being where you want to be, which is, again, we beat Kentucky this weekend. Next weekend, we're in Atlanta.
That's
so focus on what's important. Again, it starts with being physical, being disciplined. Like what George was talking about earlier, if you have the quarterback one-on-one in the spot, if it's a 2-man pat, whatever it is, do your job. You got to play fundamentally sound football this week, because Jaden Daniels is the type of quarterback to make you pay if you don't.
Well, we talked a lot about Jaden Daniels. Well, there's another quarterback in this game that needs to be talked about too. He's going to be the X factor in this game. That's Jalen Milroe. But he's got a guy across the way that's going to try to do something about that. And Perkins. Just break this segment wide open. The one and only Stephen N. Smith is back with the depth chart.
So before we get into Milroe, the one piece of really good news for Alabama, first off, they go into this game healthy. Nobody's injured, no bumps and bruises. They got that settled over the bye week. A lot of guys remained in Tuscaloosa over the bye week. Deontay Lawson spoke today. A lot of guys didn't go home. Like, they're locked in. They're center line focused here on this game. Dallas Turner mentioned during the bye week, we know what's ahead of us. We got to be on the same page. We know what the job is. So you can tell that from this team, they know what the mission is. Jalen Milroe, he's in a very unique opportunity. I kind of equate this to 2015, where Bama had an early loss to Ole Miss. They play LSU. Leonard Fournette got all the hype, got all the talk. Bama's defense was tired of it. They shut down Fournette. Derrick Henry has a monster game, and the Heisman Trophy switched hands that night. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Milroe's going to have a Heisman performance. I'm not saying that. But this could be a game where Daniels has the attention, but if Milroe goes out there and really puts on a nice show himself and Alabama wins his football game, now he's a talk of, okay, this Milroe guy is really the real deal. He ain't perfect, but boy, has he grown, and he's showing you what he really can do on a stage like this. And Milroe's been locked in. We've seen the growth, the chemistry he's got with Jermaine Burton, the chemistry he's got now with Isaiah Bond. I would like to see that more with Kobe Prentice too, giving that third guy. And I just feel like for some reason, Amari Niblack, he could really get off in this game if Tommy Reese just lets this sucker go and get Niblack the ball. He could really go off in this game.
Kelly Weathersby wants to throw $9.99 at what you're just talking about here. Ryan Kelly said today that LSU's two cornerbacks, main and offensive linemen, may not be available to play on Saturday. Thoughts? Thank you for teaming up with Teague's Take. Great show, RTR. What are y'all's thoughts on that? A lot of injuries on LSU side of the ball.
Yeah, four DBs down. They're going with transfers and backups and all that. So that's a great thing. I think I was looking at the interviews and all that. One thing that bothered me about Milroe, the reporter was asking, like, so, he was talking about Jaden Daniels tucking it and running and all that. And Milroe was like, well, he asked him about why hasn't he been running? And he was like, I'm not really a runner. I'm a passer. I'm like, look, man.
Wait, what?
If you don't see nothing, you better take your ass off. All that speed you got, and in other words, he's trying to get the most out of what Tommy Reese calls. In other words, so he's going to try. His last ditch effort is, I'll run when there's nothing else to do. But I'm like, dude, if you see 2 or 3, you go through your progressions, and progression number 2, and people closing in, and everybody's covered, do what you do. That's what Bama fans want to see, and that's what they've been crying about. Because you got to understand, you don't have the offensive line that we usually have. So, dude, in this game, you need to do everything. Forget all that. I'm a passer. Be everything we need you to be.
Well, here's the thing about it, Steve. LSU's missing 4 of their defensive backs. Offensive coordinator, I already know how I'm finna kill you if you're missing 4 DBs. It's like I tell y'all all the time. I'm going 2 by 2. Wide splits for my offensive linemen. I'm going to mix in some screen passes early and often. I'm going to put in a few draws, but not too many, because I don't want that secondary ever having a second guess coming up, stepping up into the box to play the run. And when they getting comfortable chasing those receivers, man, I'm quarterback drawing them to sleep. I'm going to make them earn it, baby.
But Marvin, I understand that. But Marvin, to do all that, the X factor here is our offensive line. They got to do their jobs.
But that's why I say screen passes early and often.
He tried that. He tried that against Tennessee, and it didn't work because of the offensive line.
Well, the receivers weren't exactly blocking on the outside either, so let's call it what it is. But you gotta
stick to it, though. You can't abandon it for the sake of the ultimate goal being to get that quarterback draw to work, because that's where you're going to be your bigger gains. The screens don't need to be successful. You run them to make them second guess. That's all it's for.
You neutralize.
Yeah. Okay. Just make them second guess it.
So here's what I got. If I can get in, Justin, real fast.
Go ahead.
We'll let you in.
Talking about those DBs being out and whatnot, and that's a way to get your target on your back if you're a backup or something, and you start seeing them matched up against someone. Stephen did a tremendous job talking about Jalen Milroe and all this kind of stuff. So, full disclosure, right? I've watched more film this year on Alabama than I have in I don't know how damn long, and it's really pretty much going back and breaking down and seeing the progression. So I feel like I am super well versed on how we've progressed. If they have people out in their secondary, what you started to see now, and we're always criticizing that he can't throw the intermediate ball or the short ball. I think you're going to see more intermediate throws, particularly if those DBs are out. if you look at what he did last week, he stood in the pocket. He was trying not to run, right? But he stood in the pocket, and that 17 to 20-yard route was there. If you can give him that time. And when you got backup DBs, they can't come down line. They get nervous. They start doing stuff. It's night game. They start peeing down their leg, all this kind of stuff, right? So I feel like he'll have some opportunities. Milroe will have some opportunities to make some chunk plays that we haven't necessarily been accustomed to. And if they're putting too much pressure on him, man, he needs to do what Marvin says. Or Steve, run, be who you are, brother. Just go ahead and go get the first down, move the sticks, and
Hey, George, you know, like I know, especially you put a young DB out, all he's worried about is not getting burned. He ain't looking back at the quarterback.
Nope.
So it's going to create huge holes if they just go 2-by-2, run down vertical routes, make the DBs chase, and let Milroe run it down their throat and make them pay.
Yeah.
I say this. Go back 2014, Bama LSU. Blake Sims, when it counted, when it depended on it, he pulled the ball down and ran. Especially on that final drive. There was about 3 4th downs on that drive, especially one where he looked at Lane Kiffin and Lane just said, go. And Blake pulled it down, went around the left side, tiptoed out of bounds and got the first down. I go back to that. If it's there, take it. Go.
Listen, man, a defense hates nothing more than a running quarterback. That's what defenses hate the most.
That's for sure.
Hey, Steve Brown, you mentioned the offensive line being an X factor. Interesting stat. I don't know if you knew this. Milroe has been sacked 30 times this year. 20 of those at our own house, 10 away. Seems like he's better protected away from the house than he is at his own place.
80% of those are his fault, but whatever.
Yeah, that is true. I agree. So that goes with a grain
Hold
of salt.
on. I'm sorry. What'd you say? What it was what?
I said most of those were his fault. Holding on to the ball too long, deciding not to run, not throwing the ball away.
Gotcha. I'm sorry, Justin. Gotcha.
No, it's okay. And I think we're kind of getting away from a big key aspect of this segment, and that's Harold Perkins. I mean, guys, we got to account for him. You got to keep him on his toes. He's one of those instinctual reactive players who can wreak havoc on your game plan, namely Milroe's game plan. So what's the strategy here? Well, you got to keep him busy, just like, using tight end crossing routes, screen plays like Marvin's talking about, jet sweep, pre-snap motion. Key to dealing with him is to make his mind race with options. The more you give him to think about, the harder it becomes for him to predict and react. So, guys, what is your key to limiting or flat out stopping Harold Perkins? We hadn't talked about him much. We kind of glazed over it. He's a big player in this game for this LSU defense. He's actually the last line of defense if half the team is out. Let's go ahead and address this. Marvin, talk about Harold Perkins. What do you like and how do we stop him?
Harold Perkins, great edge rusher, coming off the edge. Oh, man, one of the most talented guys in the country. But the thing about it, if you watch LSU play this season, they have not been using him the way they did last year. They're using him more in a hybrid role. Sometimes, yes, he does rush. A lot of times, he's a spy. It just depends on who they're playing. So I'm looking forward to seeing the role that he plays this game. Are they going to use him to spy on Milroe, or are they actually going to turn him loose to pass rush? Me personally, I would prefer to have him spy on Milroe because that's one less person we got to worry about blocking, and he is truly one of their best pass rushers. So makes no sense to me, but hey, if that's how they choose to use him, I'm fine with it.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Stephen Smith.
Go ahead, Teague. Go ahead.
We hadn't heard enough from you, so I'm going to let you take the baton. Talk us about Harold Perkins. You spent a lot of time dissecting what he can do, and you're talking about it on your show. Before we hear from Teague and Stephen Brown, man, how do we stop the monster? Are you afraid? Are you comfortable? How do you feeling? Where are you leaning?
Me?
Stephen Smith.
Okay, go ahead.
Cool. So for me here, going back to what Marvin is saying, it comes down to the role that he plays. And is he going to be rushing off the edge or is he going to be spying? If he's rushing off the edge, LSU's going to want to line him up around Caden Proctor. That's what LSU's going to want to do, line him up right up on the freshman. And if you choose to do that, then you're going to have Amari Nyblack, Steve Brown's guy, Robbie Oots. One of these tight ends is going to have to help in ship block because to me, I'm not going to leave Caden Proctor one-on-one on Harold Perkins. I'm not going to do that. Proctor's made some growth, some progress, but Harold Perkins is one of the best pass rushers in the country. And you're just asking Caden Proctor to get eaten alive. You leave him out there one-on-one. So if LSU chooses to rush him, they're going to put him on that left side. You're going to have a tight end to help out. It's going to take somebody out of a pass play, but you're going to have to help out right there. If they choose to spy him on Milroe, this is where it can get fun because it takes LSU's best player out of the fray. And all Milroe has to do, sit back, read it, get the ball out, see what you can get done there. So it comes down to how does LSU want to utilize its best player. And if I'm anywhere in the head of Brian Kelly, he's probably thinking, let's eat up this freshman offensive line.
All right, now, George, you had something you wanted to add. And when you're done, Steve Brown will close out this segment before we move on.
Yeah, because I want to piggyback off of what these two gentlemen just said, Marvin and Steven, but also one of your viewers over here, Alabama Tide, talked about the eye candy. So I actually want to flip it back to our side and say, what does Tommy Rees do to get someone to slow down a little bit? Marvin knows this, that he's got his keys. He's talked about it on our show. He's looking through the guard to the running back, right? But all of a sudden, these people start going in motion across your face, right? How do you just get that linebacker or defensive end to slow down for a second? And so we got to have enough eye candy to create good running lanes and, the flash motions, I'm calling it, right? Someone's coming to block him from the backside behind the line of scrimmage. Oats, with something of that nature. Or if you look at what we've been running too, they've been setting up things where motion is going one way. That's creating eye candy, but Milroe opens up away from it. Now your linebacker has to stay to the side of where the running back is growing. I hope Marvin can talk about that a little bit because they're looking in the backfield. And so that creates the play actions. And it makes, if they have him as a defensive end, who's he going to take? Is he going to take the quarterback? Is he going to take the running back? You just need him to pause for a second. If he's somewhere else, how do you make him freeze? Because we don't have any linemen in this group, but that's how you get linemen up onto linebackers and other people. Slow them down just a tad bit so someone come hit them in the ear.
And to your point, George, what you were just saying, the reason why I say run screen. So a lot of times when we would shift to a bare front, I would have to move the outside linebacker, and I hated it because I knew anytime I had two wide receivers out and the third one came in motion, now I got to look for this crack from that third one because it's a high likelihood that they're going to run some type of bubble screen. So it makes you think. So yes, here are my keys here, but I know that this dude over here trying to take my head off. So now I got to look back. So in looking back, I'm missing what's going on. Got to run the screens. You got to utilize the misdirection to get them off their game. Because I promise you, if that linebacker get cracked one good time, he looking every time. Because it happened to me one time, and I said never again in life. So you damn right, I'm looking over here. I know my keys over here, but I'm looking over here because you're not going to knock me out.
Right.
And we've looked at two X factors, guys, but here's the third one. And the third one can play the most pivotal role. Kendrick Law. He's that kind of player that you can put in this direction, and he will take some eyeballs. You go back to the Tennessee game just 2 weeks ago. Bama used Kendrick Law the most it's used him all season, and some stuff started to open up when he's in the game. You can put him in motion. Today in practice, he was actually, I think, flanking Milroe in the backfield a little bit. So I don't know what's trying to be going on there, but that's a player. Coach Saban said it. He's a dog. He's competitive. He's tough. He's a team guy. You can put him anywhere because he draws that type of attention. This is a game where you really need to use him.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
We just can't run inside zone all the time.
No.
It looks like it. We just can't go straight ahead like that. There got to be some misdirection, like Marvin was saying. There got to be some stuff to get these guys off their spot.
And we'll touch a little bit more in that with the next segment. But Steve Brown, if you will go ahead and close out this segment here, give us your thoughts. The X factor here, we mentioned two big ones, Milroe versus Perkins. How do you see it playing out before we move on to your segment?
I think I can just back up everything Stephen and George said. Specifically, if they do rush Perkins, we do need somebody chipping him, if you know, or just double team or whatever. But if he rushes on Proctor's side, now the right side, though, those are the dogs of the line. I've seen them just demolish everybody. But yep, anybody that lines up on Proctor's side, I don't care if it's me, chip him, help him out. You know, because I mean, this is his growing pain year. So
he ain't really been doing that though, man.
Huh?
He ain't really been chipping like that much. They let him just get out there and have to
get beat
one by himself.
Well, here's the reality of it. We're halfway through the season. You know, you got to grow up by this point. So if you still need help at this point, we need another resource.
Dude, but he got drove back into the quarter. And I'm not. He take it all the way back to the quarterback this past game. All the way.
Sure did.
That's why I say if you're not getting it by this point in the season, it's time to look for a new resource, because you think about this next stretch. You know, you look at playing Kentucky, Auburn, and if we went out, you know, going to the SEC championship, there's only 3 or 4 games left to get your skill set together. This ain't the time to get your skill set. You should have done that the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season. Right now, you should be playing your best ball.
Well, so here's my plug, Justin. On Wednesday, we're actually going to break this down. We're going to talk about O-line play, pass protection. I'm actually going to show the play that I'm referring to of him getting
I saw it
driven back. So we're actually going to break this down and try to help coach him a little bit and see how we can coach up all the offensive linemen to be better with Griff, to talk about pass pro and how kick slide and all that power down, all that stuff that none of us really talk about, but we want to get some expert advice on that this Wednesday.
That's gonna be huge, because I almost peed my pants again when he had somebody on the outside of him and he down blocked and the guy came straight in and sacked Milroe. I know you had to have seen that play. He just beat that. He literally didn't even check over for the guy. He just down blocked by somebody. I guess he thought it was a running play or something, but he didn't even step out. The guy just came in clean Milroe's clock, and Milroe looked up at Proctor like, man, what the hell are you doing? But he didn't say anything.
If you're not playing your best ball at this point in the season, we probably need to look for another option, because it only gets more difficult from this point forward. Okay,
but Marvin, I'm gonna tell you this too. We have some work to do with Proctor, but hey, let's thank the Alabama gods. At least our offensive line ain't like Colorado's, because they letting people through. Like, come on through, come hit your door, come on, hit it.
Man, he got to recruit 10 new linemen. They're terrible.
Well, we got one last segment to hit, and speaking of expert analysis, the one who's going to do this is Steve Brown. And what we're going to touch on is something that you started talking on last week, Steve, and that was avoiding the slow starts. This is a game where we cannot afford a slow, bungling start. Wait to the second or third quarter to start going. By that time, it might be 24-7 or 28-7 or to zip. This is the opportunity for Tommy Rees to show that his paycheck is warranted. We need to get the best version of our offense possible. What does that look like? Well, 4 quarters of play. And another aspect I want you to take a look at, Steve Brown, is something that B. Jam already alluded to in the chats. The psychology going on between Tommy Rees and Brian Kelly. Does Brian Kelly know Tommy Rees's tendencies all too well? Or is there something that Rees may have in his bag that Kelly isn't quite expecting? Well, folks, it's time for No Laughing Matter.
Hey, before you get started, that was not you. When was that?
I was about to say the same thing.
Back in the day, that is some job turkey stuff right there, Steve Brown, man.
Hey, man, hello, man. Wait. Teague, Teague, what you doing? Teague, what you doing? You showing your age because you just said jive turkey.
Yeah, he did. George Jefferson.
I know.
I ain't trying to
Hey,
hide.
but listen. We have to start out fast. Why? Because again, statistically, we're playing the best offense in the nation. And of course, we got one of the best defenses, but we can't afford to play a catch-up game with these guys. We have to score until we can stop them. And I don't have a doubt in my mind that we will stop them based on our defense. So Tommy Rees, you have to really on this conservative ball and Alabama being a second half team, which they have been, they go in and make the adjustments and come back. But you got a really good offensive team, so they might get out too far. And that comeback may come up short. So we have to start out fast. And I would say we really have to use Kendrick Law more. Stephen took the words out of my mouth. We have to use that. That guy is a stud. He's a receiver, but he plays like a running back. And fast, elusive, powerful. I think we need to implement him. Night Black. Anybody we can use to get the ball down the field and score points. That's what we need to use and do it often and fast.
We're going to have to because our offense is not designed for comebacks. We're not. That is a ball control offense. And I can tell you this. If Brian Kelly's smart, he's going to run the ball. He's going to do everything he can to wear our defense down and keep our offense off the field because he knows his defense is his Achilles heel. So what does a great coach do? He tries to keep them on the bench. So what does that mean for Miro? He's got to play lights out and do everything that he hasn't been able to do. He's going to have to do it with perfection this week.
Absolutely. And for us, the way I see it is keeping LSU's offense on the field 3 to 4 minute long sustained drives. We don't necessarily have to score on all of them, but do what you can to eat up clock. And listen, it comes as no surprise where their weakness is. That's up front for LSU. They may be without one of their better defensive linemen in Mekhi Wingo, and they're being gashed up front. I think about almost 5 yards a carry. They're number 86 in the nation against the run. And they let Army run for 150 or more against them this past week. Yeah, it was an embarrassing losing effort, but go with what works. Feed Jace, feed Roydell. And, hey, if you can throw Jam and maybe Justice in somewhere, time to set them free. Stephen and Smith, can you talk to us about what we need to do to keep LSU off the field? And if you also can tie it in to the psychology part I talked about with Reese versus Kelly, does Kelly have him wait to figure it out, or does he have some leverage on the old man?
I'll say this. Number one, no penalties. You can't have that. This is one game where you cannot have snap infractions. Seth McLaughlin, you cannot have snap infractions. This is one game where you cannot have false starts. You can't have that. And this is also, when I look at this, I think Reese has something in the tank. I think Reese has been holding something back. I think he's been holding a little bit back there in the tank for this matchup, for matchups down the road, but especially this one. I think Reese has got something. And I think we started to see some of it against Tennessee. We didn't see all of it, but he started to open the top up a bit against Tennessee, where we saw Isaiah Bond get wide open a couple times. We saw Kendrick Law being used more. I would like to see also in this game C.J. Dupree. We brought him up from Maryland. This was a tight end, rarely used at Maryland. He's only been getting a couple passes at Alabama, but here is somebody that could be a major weapon as well. Like, here is a game where you're trying to show your offense is good too. You got to use everybody in the toolbox. As Marvin likes to say, use all the tools in the toolbox. Here's a game where you got tools. C.J. Dupree is one of them. You got to use him. But number one, you can't have those. You cannot have these penalties. The penalties have killed you all season. You can't have these penalties.
George, you've had an opportunity to absorb all of this because, of course, slow starts are the most important thing here. But what's your take? What do you need to see in this game from Tommy Rees?
When you're talking about this slow start, It's rough, man. It's not fun to watch. I mean, you're down 20-3 or whatever it was at halftime, or something like that. We're down by 13, 27, I guess, at halftime of the last game. And you know what I think? I want to give, I don't know, credit. I feel like we don't show our hand early enough. So one of you guys just said that there's some stuff in the bag, right? And I think we're not showing our hand too early. Maybe to a fault where it's causing us to get behind and do some things. And I think they're going to have some design runs. And it's boring because I'm watching it. I'm getting mad at the damn television and everybody at the game while I'm there. Man, why we keep running this same running play? This same stuff. It ain't going. It ain't working. And then you get in the second half, 2 plays, right down the field, touchdown. So I feel like they're holding some things back of that nature. I don't know that you can necessarily do that this week. I think you got to have enough creative stuff, particularly in the running game, as you guys are talking about, to avoid this slow start, B gap and out. Our bread and butter is bread and butter. It's simple, and I think Marvin Constant would eat it up all day long. Just getting downhill. They line up like this. He already reading it, and it's just simple, so it doesn't go anywhere. It's when they had other stuff, those new runs they got with middle row, the quarterback counters they're trying to run. I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna run. I bet you. I bet y'all right now. I bet you get a quarterback option this week. I saw them setting it up. That it's going to come out of there. It's going to come off one of them motions, and not one of them eye candies. I'm willing to bet it's going to happen. It's going to go the opposite way from what you think it is.
You mean Bama's going to run it?
I think Bama's going to run it.
They ran it last week. They ran it twice last week.
Not the speed option like that. Like a triple option almost.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
George, one of the things a lot of people don't realize is when offense has 2 tight ends in the box, that is so easy to play against because there's only so much you can do.
At 12 personnel.
Exactly. Now, the moment you go to an empty set or to a 1x2 or something where you can introduce motion and actually make that defense think, and then if you send motion, say, to the field, and then you run a dig into the boundary, everybody's already thinking it's going to the field because that's where the direction ran, because that's where your numbers are. It's just another way of confusing the defense. And it's happening so fast that it's hard to process. You really have to be great to stop these plays when you start introducing motion, like with that speed sweep and all this other stuff. It's not easy to defend. But if you don't give the defense that window dressing to make them think, and we just going to sit back there and kill you all day.
That's right. That's right. You can't line up and just show your hand. What I mean, you got to give it a little bit. And we don't do that out of 12 personnel that much. Maybe a short little motion or something. But that's where it comes in. How does Amari Black?
But Teague, when they do that short little motion, we already know they finna run the ball off tackle, and if not, it's gonna be a quarterback bootleg. I know that sitting here watching. So you don't think the people on the field?
Right. Just watch some film. Just watch the tape.
Right.
Guys, we've gotten to the end of the show. Before we move into our closing segment, it's time for the predictions and players of the game. So we're going to go around the room, round robin. I want you to give your scores, last thoughts, and give me your offensive and defensive MVP. George, you'll go last since you are the guest of honor. We'll start things out. Stephen M. Smith, then go to Marvin, then Steve Brown, and then to George.
All right, so score prediction right here. I got it 38-24. Bama 38-24 there. Offensive player of the game. I'm going to say this. Offensive player of the game, I'm going Isaiah Bond. Big Bond has a big one here. Defensive player of the game, I'm going to go Terrion Arnold. I think Terrion Arnold has a mark. I think Terrion Arnold has a pick. He has a marquee game. He has a pick. It's going to be a crucial one in the second half. So I go Terrion for defensive player of the game. Offense, Isaiah Bond.
Marvin, what you got?
I'm going to go 37-28. Bama. Player of the game, I'm going to go a little different today. I'm going to go Caleb Downs. Why Caleb Downs? Because Caleb Downs is going to have to play lights out this week because the way LSU likes to run those high lows with those receivers, Caleb's going to have to be very smart and not pick wrong. Because George, when y'all getting them high lows back there, you pick the wrong one or a great quarterback will eat your ass alive. So I'm going to say Caleb Downs is going to be smart enough not to choose wrong, and he's going to walk away with at least one interception this week. Going Caleb Downs.
I like where you're coming from there, Marvin. Steve Brown, the star of the show. Make your star pick, sir.
I'm going 28, probably 17 Alabama. And I would say on defense, it would have to be, of course, my guy, Terrion Arnold. And I'm going to say 2 on defense. It's going to be Malachi Moore and Terrion Arnold. And on offense is going to be Kendrick Law. And special teams, I think that Bonds is going to have a great punt return, if not run one back.
I like that. I need to see something come from the return game this week. It's critical. Like I said, field position is huge. Burnip will do his thing. There's no question about that. But whoever's at punt return needs to do his. If it's Isaiah Bond, yeah, Steve, we need one brought to the house. We hadn't seen that all year. It's time.
Terrion Arnold did it.
But it's called back due to penalty. No penalties.
Yep.
What? Penalty?
No penalties, guys. This is where we need to be all dialed in. George, you've had enough time to really look at everything. You may hold back for your show tomorrow night, but while you're here, give us a lasting impact with your pick for the game, your offensive and defensive MVPs.
Well, it's been interesting listening to y'all talk about the score and with this kind of stuff because I always look to see what they think the line is. The line is like 3, that we're only favored by 3, which means they're basically calling it an even game or 4.
It was 4.5. Now it's down to 3. So we know the money's trending to LSU.
Mm-hmm. So
I thought it was 6 at one time.
No, it opened at 4.5. When I seen it, it was at 4.5. Now it's down to 3.
Oh.
Yeah. So Vegas is wrong a lot of the times too, and I do think that they're going to be wrong in this case, like you guys. I think we win the game, and I think it's a little bit more than that. I do think that we're able to score and move the ball, so I'm going to go more like 28-21. That we beat them by a touchdown or so, because we always seem like we always have some letdowns at the end of the game a little bit as well. So this may shock you guys, but my offensive player of the game, I'm actually going to take our quarterback.
Milroe.
I think that he has the game that we all want him to have, that he puts it all together when we need him to put it together. And we're going, damn, that guy, we knew he had it. He can throw it and he can run it. And so I'm hoping that it shows up. So I'm going to take him. On defense, I know y'all keep going with the secondary guys, but I'm going to tell you, I like this. And Stephen Smith actually said something about this guy on Tim Allen, because he's been playing his butt off, and I think he's going to get some pressures up there. He's going to have some run stops. He's going to chase down some of them screens and things out there. He's going to be running all over the place when he's in there. They're going to roll him in and out. I got it. But I think he's going to be a factor up front because he saved a touchdown in the Tennessee game.
Keenan did.
I think he's going to do it again.
Absolutely. For me, I got to go with what George just said, Tim Keenan, but 1B would be Justin Oboibe. The key to this game is putting Jaden Daniels on his ass, punishing him. Don't allow that aired out game to get going. And for the love of God, please do not let him get loose on the perimeter. So Tim Keenan, Justin Oboibe for my defensive MVP. Offensive MVP, I'm going to go with Jace McClellan. Jace is trending up right now. He's hot. He's on fire. Continue to feed him. It's going to pay great dividends. As far as the score for me, I got to go with what Tyler Watt said 2 weeks ago. For Alabama to make it where we want to be, if we score 30 or more offensive points, that doesn't mean defensive touchdowns, then we will make it to where we want to be. So I'm going to go with that. Alabama 31, LSU 24.
Okay.
Steve Brown.
Oh, I wanted to add this too, and nobody said it. Jaden Daniels, he also plays reckless. He takes a lot of hits, and I'm telling you, Alabama's been hitting lately. So he might not finish this game. I don't wish anybody to get hurt, but I'm telling you, he takes a lot. He doesn't slide. He takes a lot of hits, and I know he got put out of the game several times when they played Florida State from taking hits. So he takes a lot of hits. So, and he's a small guy, So we'll see.
Well, before we get to our closing segment, I want to remind everyone of the great lineup we have on this channel all week long. Tomorrow night, after you're done trick-or-treating with the kids, tune into the Final Whistle, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, with Matt Caddell, Chris James, Dan James, Coach Smoog, and Ty Hayes. Their special guest this week is going to be former Alabama offensive lineman and national champion Chris Owens. Wednesday night, we got a full slate starting at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern with Cece Payne, the Crimson Dynasty. Folks, you show a lot of love to all of our shows in the chat. We need you to bring that same love, same energy for her this Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Central. Show up, show her some love. And then the nightcap, as George Teague already brought to our attention here on this channel and on his, 8:15 p.m. Central, 9:15 p.m. Eastern. Teague's Take. Finish that night the right way. And then at the end of the week, we got the video simulation with Coach Smook at 8 p.m. Central. We got a lot of content here to get you ready for the Alabama versus LSU game. But now it's time for our closing segment where we'll go around the room and everybody pop what they got, starting with Marvin Constant with 40 plus strong. And then we'll move to Steve Brown, and George T will close us out.
You want to find me on Instagram, Constant45. It's real simple. Again, if you're looking for a resource, that'll help you get your body back. You're in your late 30s, 40s, 50s. There's 3 different 6-week workout programs in there. One for beginners, one for intermediate, one for people who've been doing it for a while. And again, the book's designed so you can write it in and track your progress. And if you got any questions, baby, let this be your guide. You see them. So, again, the book pays dividends, people. Get you everything you want, because this 44-year-old man over here killing Steve Brown right now. He don't know what to do with his damn self. He got the baby guns out, and he's feeling some kind of way. But I'm going to give it to him one more time. Reality check, Steve.
So he did a backflip. He did a backflip the other day, though.
Yeah, I forgot to upload it too. Next week, folks, I'll have that.
Anybody who was a cheerleader in high school can do backflip. He still got good knees. Hell, he would not get tortured like us.
Hey man, at 56, I read another dude's book. Hey man, at 56, I read another dude's health book, and now I'm turning backflips. And how about that?
Hey, Joe,
I'm healthy.
Cheer they still on the sideline. Go D, go. Steve, come on, pick up. Let's go. Steve, whoa.
Hey man, listen. So listen, tomorrow I'll be entertaining the kids, man. For Halloween. I already got my stuff prepared. I don't give out candy. I got greens, okra, cabbage, chicken. That's what I'm putting in their bag.
Y'all gonna Steve, you're gonna be dressed like the leprechaun for the Leprechaun Returns.
Hey Marvin, I got baked beans, I got lima beans. So that's what I'm doing, man. I'm trying to, get the kids right, man. So yeah.
Steve, you don't want no damn brute, no damn Old Spice, man. Get him.
Yeah, man. I got all that.
Steve isn't having Halloween. He's having Hattie Mae's kitchen.
Hey, man, let me tell you something, man. I got candy that hadn't been opened in years. I got brand new old candy. So
sauerkraut and Brussels sprouts. Mama,
yeah, I got all that. I got all that. I'm so right now, man. Before I got on, I was just over here bagging it. I was bagging greens and catfish, all that. and the catfish, and it's too market. But it come early, they can get the catfish raw, and they come later, they can get it fried. So it's yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Stephen M. Smith, tell these folks what you got coming up and how they can find you on social media.
Well, what I got going on, not Steve Brown serving up a full meal on Halloween, but I got in my own words tomorrow. We talking Bama LSU. Of course, Saban's gonna have the press conference tomorrow night before start. Well, not tomorrow night. He'll have the press conference Wednesday night, which would be after his birthday. We'll definitely get in on that. I don't know what he'll be doing for his birthday. Hopefully, they got him a singer on the team. Somebody can sing happy birthday to him. I don't really care who does it. But we're talking Bama football, getting the folks ready for LSU.
Hey, so you ain't gonna tell them about your OnlyFans page, Glasses and Glam?
Man, no, you don't stop with that. Man, you don't stop with that. Steve, you don't stop with that, man. Hold on. Nah,
Don't rub too much. You're gonna rub away that last little bit you got up here. You're gonna be right here looking like Steve Brown. You gotta take it all off.
Hey, don't forget his promo code Backside Pursuit.
Marvin got an OnlyFans, leotards and lean muscle. Okay.
Well, Steve Brown, can you tell people where they can find you on social media, including your OnlyFans, and where you'll be appearing next?
Hey, you can find me on social media, Instagram, Comic Steve Brown, and y'all check out my fan page, Comedian Steve Brown. So yes, that's pretty much it. I just had to shut my OnlyFans down, but yeah.
Hold on. They took away intentional pounding? They took it away?
Did you say intentional pounding?
Yes, did.
Hey, I'm gonna use that.
Constant 45 seconds. That's pretty good right there.
I'm gonna use that.
That's pretty good right
there. Constant 45 seconds. Look at him, y'all. He mad.
I'm gonna let y'all have that one.
Oh, we're about to get a sponsorship from Blue Chew from Marvin. Anyway.
Marvin, you all chewed up.
All right. Well,
George Teague, please help us bring this show back down to earth. Tell them to post about where they can find you, what you got coming up, all that good stuff, and pop your show again.
Well, look, y'all can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Teague Football. I like how you guys are in the chat and all this kind of stuff over here. That's the same way I am on social media. I like to be able to actually talk to people. So y'all go ahead and give me over there. If you like,
Teague got an OnlyFans. Teague's been taking it.
People thinking about that all day.
Sponsored by Just for Men.
Hey, look at Marvin. He's still mad.
I'm not in this. I'm not in this part of the show, okay? Not in it.
Man, y'all play too much. I swear.
Constant.
That's good. Too good.
But George, please finish popping what you got, sir. Before.
Yeah, so I'd like to see some people head over to DallasCowboys.com, search flashback so they can watch my little pieces that I do with the Dallas Cowboys, actually in the film breakdown, since that's part of it. I get to be able to do that. Last thing, I'm trying to get the word out about TeagueFamilyScholarship.com, baby. TeagueFamilyScholarship.com. If you're trying to help out someone to get to the University of Alabama, go right on. They don't have to give it to me. Give it straight to that. Tax write-off. Get it. You know, if you like what we do, let me earn it from you, but give $5, $100, $500, whatever it is. It don't matter. Every little thing helps. Try to get some books and some paper and all that kind of stuff.
That's what's up. Hey, after all that, look at Marvin. He's still mad.
Sir, because I choose not to participate in you all's foolishness, okay?
He said, man, his headset started with 2 earpieces. There ain't but one on there now. He didn't rip that thing off. He all upset.
Stephen M. Okay, he got an OnlyFans page. I can't see it, but I can feel it.
That'll do it for us here on the Bama Standard. We will see you again next week as we celebrate the victory against LSU. Roll Tide, everybody.
Marvin mad as hell.
Yo, Jared Todd gonna kick in a minute. You and Teague both about to
He
be
over there
on the
looking
toilet.
like David Ruffin when he got kicked out for the 3rd time.